Have you wondered about living elsewhere after you retire? Well, we have, almost daily. As you know, it's not an overnight decision. Hi, this is Gil
and Gene
of Retire There, a podcast about places to consider living in during your retirement. We started this show for selfish reasons. We will be retiring in the next few years, but we're not sure where. Then a light bulb went off in Gene's head. He asked, what are others doing? With so many baby boomers retiring, there must be many relocating. Let's connect with them and pick their brains. But first, a little background about us. I'm Asian, born in Brazil, and raised in Brooklyn. I'm an engineer turned attorney and practicing higher ed law at a college, and I love working with students, faculty, and staff. And now, I'm a podcaster.
All right. I'm not Asian. Born and raised in Long Island, New York, a place I've always wanted to leave. I'm a law librarian working in a court who loves his job. We've lived in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, New York for many years and have been thinking about our future home.
So we will be speaking to folks from around the world who have moved to venues of their dreams and more. And we will share their intimate secrets.
Whoa!
Just kidding. We will offer information you may not find anywhere else, though. So stay tuned. Buenos dias. ¿Cómo están todos? Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Steve and Paulette Tuggle of Medellin, Colombia.
Nice.
Medellin is the second largest city in Colombia, following Bogota, with a population of 2.6 million people. You know what's especially great for us today, Gene?
What is especially great, Gil?
That we're all in the same time zone. And I didn't have to wake up at 3 a.m.
When do you wake up at 3 a.m.?
Well, we got up early for the Paris episode. Both Steve and Paulette were born in and spent most of their lives in Houston, Texas. Steve was initially a music major. He played the tuba, but wasn't excited about becoming a band director. He auditioned for and was accepted into the U.S. Air Force's band in Washington, D.C., where he spent 7 years. During that time, he and Paulette, high school sweethearts, got married, and Steve graduated from the University of Maryland with a degree in accounting, while Paulette earned a nursing degree from San Jacinto College in Texas.
Wow, playing the tuba or accounting, which one would I choose? I would definitely go for tuba. Sorry, Steve. In any case, Steve worked as a CPA for 35 years, and Paulette was a registered nurse for 40 years. The Tuggles retired in 2016 and have been living in Latin America for the past 5 years. They blog and share a wealth of information on Facebook. Shortly after they retired, they both felt a strong desire to get involved with Christian ministries. Everywhere they went, they met North American retirees actively helping missionaries or starting their own ministries, mostly to help the extremely poor indigenous people of Honduras, Panama, Ecuador, and now Colombia. They are actively working to establish a Christian church for English speakers in Medellin. The Tuggles encourage North Americans to join them and seek outreach opportunities in the expat community. Steve and Paulette emphasize that they love Medellin and have no intention to ever leave.
Nice, Steve and Paulette. Thank you so much for joining our show. Take us through your move to Colombia. We understand you lived in other countries before, so I am really excited.
Hello. It's our pleasure to be here. We retired in January 2016. Originally, we were going to retire at the end of March, but my boss came in and gave me an offer I couldn't refuse to give me all the same retirement benefits and let me retire in January as opposed to March. And we used that opportunity to try out Roatan Honduras for 3 months. We had always liked blue water and white sand. We wanted to try it, see how we would like living in with blue water and white sand.
We loved it. It was wonderful, right up until it got hot, it got humid, it was very expensive, but we found our first ministry to work with there in Roatan, And the church there just took us in and put us to work and said, you know, we do this, come with us. We do that, come with us. So that was our first experience in ministry in Roatan. And then we moved. We were there 3 months. It was a little bit difficult because the water is not potable. So we had to have water delivered. The electricity would go out quite often. And it was just, you had to wash all of your vegetables and take care of things like that because you never knew when you might be running across a little bug parasite or something. So you had to take special care for your foods. It was a beautiful place. It was just difficult to live there.
Roatan, if you can go to Roatan or Cozumel or any place like that and live in a beach resort that has a generator and doesn't lose power and doesn't lose electricity and doesn't lose internet, and you have air conditioning, it makes a big difference.
I'll say. Those are must-haves.
Otherwise, you get salt on your windows. If you wash your windows, the next day you have salt covering the windows again. Sand goes everywhere, gets into everything. And they have these bugs called no-see-ums that will create large welts all over your legs. And
Ew. Oh my God!
Yo,
This is Honduras, right?
You're not going there.
Oh my!
But there are a lot of expats in Honduras, isn't that correct?
Yes.
They're mostly in Roatan. There are some in Honduras, but the mainland of Honduras is very, very poor. It's not really attractive to North Americans.
As a retirement area.
But Roatan is.
Mm-hmm.
Roatan is, because Roatan's a Caribbean island with absolutely gorgeous beaches. I think they said at one time there were 200 different dive sites. We were scuba divers, so we enjoyed that part.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of times we would just snorkel right off the beach.
And it's inexpensive to live, right? I've heard.
It's not necessarily inexpensive. We rented a 3-bedroom house for 3 months, and I think it cost us maybe $1,000 a month to live there.
Yeah, that's why.
Food is not expensive. We loved eating all you can eat lobster.
Oh my goodness.
And it was fresh caught. I mean,
Yeah, you talk about fresh caught. We went to a restaurant that didn't have it. We went out snorkeling for a while. This boat of fishermen came up. All of a sudden, they had lobsters.
Yeah. So then you left Roatan?
We left after 3 months. We decided that was a nice place to visit, but it was incredibly difficult to live there. And we went to what our first choice was Boquete, Panama. Panama City is where the Panama Canal is, and it's at sea level, and it's very hot there. But Boquete is up in the mountains. We were at 3,000 feet. It was much cooler there. So it was, and the Boquete has a lot of expats living in it. With about 30,000 total population, 20% of the population are from North America, U.S. and Canada.
Of course.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
There were lots of activities for them and lots of opportunities to assimilate and make new friends.
There were many ministries that came from those North Americans helping missionaries that were there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very special place. It was cool. It was also a coffee area. We had coffee growing across the street from us.
Oh my goodness.
And it was really nice. Every once in a while, you'd hear horses come down from the mountains. They'd ride down to check on things. So it was a really interesting experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes they would be herding cows along the road. Different.
Even for Texans, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was very tropical. Fruits and vegetables. Boquete is called the breadbasket of Panama. They grew everything up there. And so fruit and vegetables were very inexpensive. We had lots of animals visit our backyard, birds of all kinds. We had toucans, we had motmots, we had all sorts of colors of tanagers, and we even had this family of cotamundis. They're members of the raccoon family, but they have a long bushy tail that sticks straight up in the air.
Oh, wow.
And everybody, they all like bananas. So we went to the fruit stand every day to get more bananas.
They must have loved you when you moved in.
Oh, we love them.
And there we lived in a gated community. It was in a valley, and we had a 9-hole executive golf course in the neighborhood.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Nice.
But you obviously didn't love it there.
We loved it for 17 months.
Well,
Okay.
and I think we told you before that when we retired, we weren't looking for a place to settle. We wanted retirement adventures. We wanted to go to this place and stay for 3 months or 6 months or a month, and then go try out another place. But consequently, in the 5 years that we've been in Latin America, we've lived in 5 different countries and visited 2 others.
Wow.
Okay. Can you tell us what the 5 countries were again?
Sure. Honduras, Panama, then visited Colombia for about 2 weeks, then visited Peru for almost a month, then Cuenca, Ecuador for 3 months, and finally San Jose, Costa Rica before we moved here. I also went on a mission trip to Brazil. That's the 7th country.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's where you were born, Gil.
Yeah, that's where I was born, near Sao
Yeah.
Paulo. Yeah. But no fala
We were in-
português.
We were in Sao Paulo.
I was born in a little town outside Sao Paulo, and I will not pronounce it correctly, but it's pronounced, it looks like in English, Ribeirão Preto. But I recall my father saying Ribeirão Preto, something like that. So my Portuguese is horrible because I took Spanish thinking that I could learn Portuguese, but no, it's very different.
So you were in Panama for
different.
17 months. The only thing I recall about Panama is that my paternal grandmother, who traveled around the world, would say the only thing good about Panama is the canal. Let's see, that was her take on Panama. But it sounds like you had a great time.
We did, but we were much cooler. We visited Panama a couple of times.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, the city a couple of times. And except for the canal, we didn't really enjoy that part. It was just too hot. But the old city is beautiful. It
Casco Viejo, I think is what it's called.
and if you go there, it's historical and it's nice to visit. But then after that, in the canal, I was ready to come back home. It was just too hot.
So when you guys started this whole approach, did you have a home base in the United States?
We sold we started researching this about a year before we retired, and came to the realization that we didn't want that. Number one, we couldn't afford it if we had a house here in the US. So we sold our house, put it on the market, did a bunch of improvements to it to enhance the value. Then we sold it, and we sold our 2 cars on the way to the airport.
Oh my goodness.
On the way to the airport? How do you do that?
We gave everything away and left with 2 suitcases apiece.
Wow.
Wow. 4 suitcases.
And,
I
I did
know.
not want to have I did not really want to have a storage unit, but I was overruled but we got a very small one. Cost us $40-something a month.
Oh,
my
that's
goodness.
nice.
Yeah.
So
That's
we have
adorable.
my keepsakes in it. He doesn't have any. But his golf clubs are there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's important.
Yeah. Boquete Panama was much higher elevation. We even had a extinct volcano called Volcan Baru that was at about 11,000 feet. And they're all along the mountainsides and hillsides. They're growing all sorts of crops. The one thing that a lot of people like and a lot of people don't like, we didn't like it, was the amount of rain that Boquete gets. It made for beautiful green flowering landscape, but and also rivers. It was hard having 2 or 3 months in a row where it never stopped raining.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing. That can be annoying.
That's
Yeah.
some rainy season.
Yeah.
And your regular season, you learned to run all your errands in the morning before about 1 or 2 o'clock. And then you were home because you knew it was going to rain. It wasn't a little rain. It was a lot of rain every day.
So where did you go after Panama?
After Panama, we some friends of ours were going on a trip to South America, and we asked if we could tag along. So they gave us, our friend Eric sent me his Excel spreadsheet of their itinerary.
Nice. I love that.
And we met them in Cusco. We stopped in Colombia for 2 weeks while we waited for them. And then we met them in Cusco, Peru. And we traveled around Peru for 3 weeks. They went to see Iguazu Falls in lower South America.
Oh, right.
We went to Ecuador.
Okay. And that's when you guys went to Cuenca?
Yes.
And you stayed there for 3 months. How was that? I hear that's a huge expat community.
It is relative. The city itself has about 500,000 people. And the funny thing is that one of the neighborhoods there is called Gringolandia.
No. Really?
It is. It's got a whole bunch of high-rise condos, and there is a good population of gringos.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they're pretty close. And a lot of times they go out to eat together. There are several restaurants that really cater to them.
Once a month, they would have an expat gathering where people, expats would get together and different people would present their businesses too. So you knew where to go and who spoke English. And that was important for expats that were just starting out that knew no Spanish.
We were very fortunate. The first lady that we stayed with, she had an Airbnb. Her name was Regina. She knew everything and everybody. She had actually started in Mexico, and I think she had been in Latin America for maybe 25 to 30 years.
Okay.
And she'd stayed in a bunch of different countries, Cuenca, Ecuador.
I see. But she was an American.
Yes.
Okay.
I think from Florida.
And did you at some point consider staying in Cuenca? Was that because you spent some quality time there?
We did go with the idea that we were going to stay. Cuenca, Ecuador is very highly rated. If you look at International Living and some of the other big publications, they rank Cuenca, Ecuador as in the top 3 places for expats to retire. For us, even though it was very, very close to the equator, at 8,500 feet of elevation, it was just too cold for us.
Oh, interesting.
It was where we live now, the temperatures range from 60 to 85. There it was from about 45 to 70. And it was very high, and some people didn't acclimate well to the altitude.
I'll bet. And you don't want to retire to worry about that every day. Okay.
Some people, it doesn't bother them.
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm. Okay. And then you moved on to Costa Rica, which we just covered last week.
yeah.
Oh, a few weeks ago. It seems like
Everybody has a different idea about their experience in Costa Rica.
Yeah, let's hear yours.
Ours was kind of interesting. When we were in Boquete, when we left Boquete, we had to leave a lot of stuff that we had accumulated. We actually ended up with, I think, 30 boxes of stuff that we left in Boquete when we went to South America.
30 boxes of what? I need to know.
Dishes, shoes, clothes,
My goodness.
a printer.
Was that accumulations from all these other places? So you had been taking...
We just in Boquete.
And remind me, how long were you there for?
17 months.
17 months.
Okay.
Part of the church. We had a lot of things that we used in the ministry and
Okay.
Sunday school, things like that.
All right.
Okay.
mugs. I mean, just, everything we accumulated.
Yeah.
Okay. So out of 30 boxes, maybe just one was personal, but the rest was all church related?
Oh, no.
I know. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
When we left Costa Rica a month later, we had 8 gigantic suitcases that we brought back to the U.S. with us.
We did make a visit back to the U.S. where we decided we weren't going to live there.
Oh, really?
That's when we came to Colombia.
Okay. Do you have family in the U.S.?
Yes.
I have a sister and 2 brothers, and they all have kids. We have a son. We have a granddaughter.
I have a sister and
Oklahoma.
Her family there in Oklahoma.
Okay. And where's your son now?
Houston.
All of my family is in Houston.
Oh, okay.
So is that
Gotcha.
where you went back to when you went to back to the States, Houston?
We went back to Houston because we had to take care of a little business item.
Mhm.
And we decided we were going to check out Hot Springs Village in Arkansas because we had been there many times and it's very pretty. And we thought we could afford to do that. But we started adding up the costs and we quit counting when we got to, I think we were at $6,500 a month and our Social Security wasn't nearly that.
Mhm.
And we decided, no, that wasn't probably where God wanted us. He probably wanted us in Medellin, Colombia, where we could live very easily on our Social Security.
So then, was that when you decided that enough of the U.S.?
Yeah. We just decided that it was, and people argue with me sometimes about it, but if you really are talking about your all-in expenses, including healthcare and rent and car payments and everything else, I don't think it's possible to live in the United States on Social Security alone.
What was the number you quoted in one of your articles about the healthcare cost of a couple?
Oh, yeah. We've been doing research, and the articles say that the average 65-year-old couple will spend anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000 just in healthcare over the remaining life.
That's amazing.
That's an amazing number.
Yes.
And that's,
yes.
you probably read these statistics that say you have to have at least $1 million in the bank to retire.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got 400,000 of that dedicated just to healthcare.
Forget about enjoyment or anything else, just surviving. Mm-hmm.
No travel.
Travel.
We have
right.
a much different situation in Colombia, and that's one of the reasons we like being here.
So
Okay.
what made you come to Colombia?
Medellin is known as the land of the city of eternal spring. So the first thing that we noticed was the weather is every day between 60 and 85. There are a couple of rainy seasons, but nothing like what we experienced in Boquete, Panama. So the weather was one of the big things. The second was the cost of living here. You can see all sorts of statistics on the web, is about 30% of the cost of living in New York City. And we didn't live in New York City. We lived in Houston, and Houston was less expensive, but it's still about 35% of what it would cost us to live in Houston.
Oh, wow.
So it costs 3 times or 1/3. If it costs $7,500 to live in Houston, it costs $2,500 for the same lifestyle here.
And what made you pick Medellin in particular?
Our friends and our pastor in Boquete told us about an opportunity that they were looking to start a Christian church specifically for English speakers. Medellin is a very large city. You said 2.5 million population. When you include all of the incorporated cities that are part of the metropolitan area, it's closer to 4 million people. There was not a single Christian church for English speakers here.
Wow.
Well, that's not exactly true. They do have, you can go to a Spanish-speaking church, and sometimes they will have translators with headsets. But it's not like a normal, like going to an English-speaking church in the States.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and in our groups, we sing in English, we preach in English, we study in English, we pray in English. It's English.
Okay. And word has gotten around, so you have enough parishioners and everyone's coming over?
We actually had 5 Americans join us this fall. As soon as the international airports were reopened, one guy came from South Dakota, and 2 couples came from Idaho.
And we usually, our group is not large yet by any means. There are about 20 of us, but we're starting. And the word is getting out that and we even have Colombians that come. They want to be with English speakers, and they're Christians, or they're not, and they come to just speak English, and it gives us an opportunity to minister to them. It's interesting work and lots of fun.
And what do you do right now? I assume you don't have a building, right?
No, we don't have a building. We operate like, we tell people we operate like the first century church. The first century church in Jerusalem didn't have a building. They met from house to house. They met at the temple grounds. They shared everything with each other. And the church didn't actually have a building. The first Christian church building wasn't built for 300 years after Christ. As we grow, we'll probably find a Spanish-speaking church to piggyback off of, to let us use their church when they're not using it, maybe once a week.
And the pastors here and the Christian congregations here, the Spanish speakers, are very open to that, very open, very kind. Yes, how can we help? And they'll just set up a time for us to come. And we were doing that before, meeting Bible studies in other churches. So it was great.
So over the course of 5 years, do you speak Spanish? Did you learn Spanish 5 years ago? Tell us about that.
We know words. We know some words. We can recognize things. I'll ask a question, but what really throws me is I'll ask a question like, does this bus go to Los Molinos Mall? Mm-hmm. I'm expecting somewhere in the response to hear a yes or a no, sí or no, right? And it'll go for a whole paragraph and I'll never hear the words sí or no.
But they're very helpful. But we can order in a restaurant. Mm-hmm. We can get in a taxi and go around. We use our translators all the time. We also, if we're in a taxi, my husband is very good about putting it on maps, so he knows where we're going to.
That's a great idea. That's smart. That's really smart.
It is.
When we really have issues, like when we get into legal matters, when we leased our apartment, mm-hmm. we have a lady here who caters to and helps North Americans, English speakers. Her name is Angie, and Angie makes our lives so much better.
I'll bet.
And she negotiates leases. She finds movers. She signed us up for health insurance, for healthcare. She makes doctor's appointments for us, dentist appointments. She even arranges trips.
Wow.
Picks people up at the airport, takes them back to the airport. And anytime I get in a real bind for translation, I'll simply call Angie up and ask her, would you please talk to this person and tell me and handle it and tell me what to say.
And she's that readily available.
Yes. Her whole life is catering to North Americans. That's her business.
Okay. Is she an expat also?
No, she's a
native
Colombian former taxi driver who very entrepreneurial and has now made a business for herself and her husband doing this.
Wow. So she must be really well known.
She is.
and it goes from word of mouth.
Yeah. Do you use Google Translate at all?
Yes, all the time.
Every day.
Oh, so that's one of the popular translators. Okay, got it.
Yes.
Let's talk about Medellin. Tell us all about Medellin and how long you've been there now.
We've been here 2.5 years, a little longer. The first time we came here, we were here for a couple of weeks. And I was just in love. We wanted to come back and we started looking at furnished apartments. We couldn't find any that we thought we could afford. Steve asked someone in Ecuador about that and they said, no, you're just not looking in the right place. We went on to Peru and then we went back to the States. And while we were in Ecuador, some friends told us they were coming here to start the church. We said, we're coming with you. That's when we came. It was like in all of Central America, the cities I had been in were a little downtrodden. This was like walking into a metropolitan city. It had restaurants, it had malls, beautiful malls. Mm-hmm. It had businesses that you recognized, and it was just beautiful. Everywhere you go, there are plants that you just see. I mean, it's just a beautiful experience. Although there is, anywhere you go that's not your country, there's culture shock. But we had been out of the country a while, so it wasn't so difficult. And just recently having some friends move here, we didn't realize how much culture shock there is. It's an interesting thing to help them through that, or to at least be aware of it again. But as far as Medellin, I don't want to live anywhere where I have to pay heat and air conditioning bills again. I want to be able to sit out on my patio in the evenings and watch the sunset without being cold or hot.
Wow.
I love it.
It's the elevation, right?
Mhm.
Whether year round.
Yes. We're at 5,000 feet. We're in a valley, so we're surrounded by the Andes Mountains at 7,000 to 8,000 feet all around us.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
We have a river running through the valley, and the city is on both sides of the river.
We don't have a car and don't need one because the metro system here and the taxi system here is you walk out the door. We have Didi, we had Uber, we have Didi, taxis, a wonderful, is it called a subway?
The metro is actually above ground, but it is world class. It goes from one end of the valley to the other. Hundreds of thousands of people ride it every day. It's a huge benefit for commuters, and they've made it very, very good, especially for the real impoverished people that are living way up in the mountain where they don't have roofs. I mean, but they can ride the bus. They can ride the metro for 75 cents from one end of the valley all the way to the other.
Okay.
Oh, that's the bus.
The valley runs along the river. And so they have these gondolas that run up into the neighborhoods from the metro stations to get the people to their homes. It is very nice.
Oh, those gondolas are for transportation. I didn't realize that. Wow.
Yes. They weren't built for tourists. They were built to help people, because here in Latin America, the higher you go, the less expensive it is, because you have to get there.
Right.
You have to get water up there. Sometimes you have to get electricity.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
That makes sense. So the metropolitan area, the central, if you will, is the most expensive because it does have all the amenities versus going further out. Mm-hmm. I sometimes think that the further out you go, the more exquisite and the more unique, but the poorer, actually, right? The poorer parts of the country live there.
All right. I'm going to ask you about the elephant in the room. Crime. People have talked about drug cartels. I hear the crime isn't bad now. It's like any metropolitan cities. How would you describe it?
All I can tell you is our own personal experience. Mm-hmm. Our own personal experience is that we're retired people. We don't go out to clubs and bars at 10 o'clock at night. We don't go to ATMs in the middle of the night. So we don't subject ourselves to put ourselves in dangerous positions. Consequently, we don't feel unsafe at all. We walk all over the place. We ride the buses, we ride taxis, we go to malls, to stores, to restaurants, and we've never been robbed. We've never been harmed in any way. We've never been threatened. We know people that have, but most of the times those crimes are things they've gotten themselves into. They've been in the wrong place at the wrong time. They've been holding their expensive, iPhone 11 or 12 or whatever it is, and
on the corner looking for something.
And somebody goes along with a motorcycle and just grabs it out of their hand and keeps going.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. And we try to avoid that too here in New York City.
Yes.
I never hold my phone up or do anything, that's kind of like obvious.
Yeah. The Colombian cartels were very, very active in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Mm-hmm. But Pablo Escobar was killed in 1993. I've been to his grave.
Oh, wow.
And Medellin is a much different city now.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And I really think that a lot of people, as they discover that and realize, get the word out, there's so many benefits here aren't found even in other Latin American countries.
Yeah, I hear the metro isn't even in existence in Bogota, that in Colombia, this metro in Medellin is the transport hub. Yeah. So they put a lot of money in the infrastructure, right?
Yes, and they continue to expand it because they started with the big A line that goes north and south through the valley, but then they've built additional lines that go east-west to connect the rest of the city. And they have those gondolas. They have other metro trains. They have something called a tramvia that is like a streetcar.
Oh,
They work very hard at trying to improve abilities for people of all economic.
And they also have buses, green metro buses, but they have all sorts of other public transportation buses. I ride them all the time.
okay.
Before COVID, after COVID, Paulette is kind of a standoffish about riding the bus now.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But we can take taxis. We took a taxi to Price Mart, which is like Costco, yesterday, and I think it cost $1.94.
Oh my
Wow.
Our taxi ride.
That's great.
And where you are, can you walk to places? Like, can you walk to get some food? Can you walk to a supermarket? Can you walk to get a cup of coffee?
That's one reason we moved to Laureles, because Laureles, we're on the opposite side of the river from Poblado, which is the most popular with expats. But Poblado is very up and down, and Laureles is completely flat. And we can walk. We have one mall that's about 8 blocks from us. We have another mall that's about 10 blocks from us. We have maybe 100 to 150 restaurants within 10 blocks.
And 3 grocery stores.
And 3 grocery stores.
And here, if you need to go to the pharmacy and you need medications, they're over the counter. You don't need a prescription. So if you monitor your physical health and you know what meds you take, you can walk in and buy them if you don't have insurance. Now, have we talked about healthcare?
No,
we
let's
have.
talk about.
Let's talk about it.
That was my next topic.
Okay, so healthcare here, and there are lots of resources you can look at online. There's a site called MedellinGuru.com that has amazing amounts of information. And he wrote an article about the healthcare. He wrote an article about why people are moving from other Latin American countries to Medellin, Colombia, and not so much the other way. Number one was the healthcare system in Colombia. It's the best healthcare system in all of Latin America.
Wow.
Rated 21st out of 191 countries worldwide. And it's very inexpensive. We have 9 of the best hospitals in all of Latin America here in Medellin. And as part of our insurance, we have free hospitalization.
Wow.
Free meaning no anesthesiologist, no doctors, no hospital bills, no.
That kicks in after you become a resident, I suppose.
After you have to become a resident in order to join the health insurance program.
And there aren't any limitations or restrictions. I would assume most expats know this coming in and they can take advantage of this right away. Yes.
For the first year, I guess 2.5 years, we were paying $33 a month together for our health insurance.
Oh my goodness.
No, I know.
It's amazing.
That's amazing.
When after COVID, they started cracking down and they wanted it to be more based on your income. So now we pay about $150 a month for our insurance together.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But we get all our prescriptions cost, I think maybe they were costing $1. I think they're going to cost us about $12 or $13 now.
Oh, that's with your insurance, or is that the regular cost? Oh, that's
through our insurance.
Wow, that is definitely affordable. It's not even an issue, really.
Right. And how do you become a citizen?
That's a good question. And that's one of the reasons we like Medellin better than some of the other places. Actually, one of the reasons we left Cuenca is because we had already gone through the residency process in Panama, and it cost us about $3,000 to become residents in Panama. We were going to have to redo that same process in Cuenca because they didn't accept any documents that were older than 75 days. And every time you get a document, it has to be apostilled, and that process is at least $100 per document. Ecuador required a lot more documents than Colombia did. So we ended up spending about $1,000 to become residents of Colombia, and that covered us for a period of 3 years.
Oh, wow.
We're in the process of redoing that right now.
Okay, so every 3 years you have to renew.
Mhm.
I assume you pay somebody to do that for you, correct?
Yes. I actually have an accountant here. Her name is Paula, and she took me through the whole process. Colombia has a tax structure, income tax structure. Being a CPA, one of the first things I wanted to do was understand the tax structure. So I paid Paula for a couple of hours to sit me down with my facts and circumstances and explain to me how Colombia was going to affect me tax-wise.
Nice.
Oh, wow. That was smart.
And that's what I always tell people when they ask tax questions on Facebook. I said, people don't know what your answer is because they don't know what your circumstances are. Go find an accountant who knows the law, tell them everything about yourself, and they'll tell you what the answer is.
Okay. And I also read that you have to file taxes in both countries, right? In Colombia and the United States. That's if you still have residency in the United States.
Well, you're not resident, you're a citizen.
Oh, right, right.
And we would never give up our citizenship.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But if you stay in Colombia more than 183 days, which is more than half a year, you're treated as a resident and you're taxed in Colombia on your worldwide income. That scares people a lot.
Yeah.
Until they realize that the US government gives you a tax credit for taxes you pay on the same income in another country.
Okay, good.
Okay, so consequently, it's not a true double tax. You might pay the same total tax, but maybe part of it goes to Colombia and the rest goes to the US.
Gotcha.
I'm assuming that you all are trying to do this podcast to make money.
Quite yet.
If you earn income outside the US and you're really residing outside the US, you can exclude each person. So each of you could exclude $107,000 of earned income from foreign sources from your US income tax.
Oh, that's good to know, Gene, if that ever were to happen.
Yeah, that's why you should move to Medellin.
We might just join you there, Steve. It's funny because we're both working full time and we were thinking about relocating after retirement. We hadn't thought about moving out of the country, but the more episodes we do of guests like you guys, it's becoming very tempting. I mean, we did think about living abroad for about 90 days. That is still on the top of my list. One never knows. And Gene said, let's do a podcast because when we did our first trip, it was only to Florida, right? I mean, that's nothing compared to you guys. But we realized that Florida wasn't for us. And then COVID hit. So everything kind of shut down slowly. And Gene said, let's do this podcast. And we thought, wow, that would be kind of fun. But we had no idea the amount of work involved. This is the most fun part, meeting folks like you. Yes. And it's really been interesting. It has, I have to say. But everything else that leads up to this, it's really what they say. Producing a show, that a segment of maybe 60 minutes could take hours from what I call the acquisition of the guest, right? All the way through the editing process and the show notes. And you guys do YouTube also. So you understand, it's a lengthy process. Monetizing, we have no clue, but we're very happy that we're growing organically and people from all over the world are tuning in. So that excites us.
And we were just written up in a magazine. So that was good.
Yeah. We were just in one of our,
awesome.
Yeah. I'll send that to you. Yeah.
I have a question. You talked about shopping and the malls. The malls you go to, they're what we think of as American malls, or is it like, I was reading there's something called The Hole.
HOLE?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the American, but there's, what is it, El Hueco?
Oh, El Hueco. That's the big...
El Hueco?
That's the big El Centro shopping area. And if you need anything, if you know where to find it there, you can get it. It's a great shopping area. It's very busy. It's very crowded. But anything you want, you can find there if you know where to look for it.
That's what they're saying. You open the door and it's one place has all different spots of running shoes. Another place might have all watches. Is that how it's like? What it's like?
And well, actually, in a lot of cases, we bought a sewing machine down there in El Hueco. There was 10 different places, all side by side, where you could buy sewing machines.
Wow.
We bought our refrigerator down there, and the refrigerator stores, the appliance stores, are next to each other. For maybe a block and a half or so.
Okay.
The textile stores, Paulette loves to go and look at fabrics. They're right next to each other. They take up literally two city blocks on both sides of the street.
Wow. That's got to be fun.
If you're looking at one place, does somebody from another store come over and say, "Oh, I have it less expensive over here. Come over here." Do they do that?
I have never seen that done.
Oh, that's nice.
Everybody knows that you can look at this, and then next door you can look at something very similar.
But we don't make large purchases without a facilitator.
Oh.
Because we don't want to be gringo.
Yes. So how does that work? How do you find a facilitator?
Angie's husband.
Angie's husband, Jorge, takes Steve when we need an appliance, and they go down, and Jorge does the negotiating.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I've been in buildings where you walk and there's this restored, it looks like a government building. It's 6 or 7 stories. It's got escalators all the way up.
Absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful. And you walk around there. I actually got my phone and opened it and walked around the entire first floor. And all it was shoes.
Oh my goodness.
The next floor might be jewelry,
Oh, wow.
Jewelry.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Something to sew with.
So
but it's El Hueco. I love going to El Hueco.
It sounds very fun. Yeah.
It can be somewhat intimidating if you're not used to it.
Sure.
And we also have regular, brand new American style malls.
Oh.
When we lived in Poblado, we lived about 3 blocks away from Santa Fe Mall. Santa Fe Mall would take your breath away. It has 5 floors, has every conceivable store you can imagine. And does your mall have a retractable roof?
No, it does not.
Never even heard of that.
Well, this one has 2 retractable roofs. They keep them open during the day unless it rains, and then they shut them. One of them is over just the food court, and the other one is over the rest of the mall. We have a mall called Tesoro that we always take all of our visitors up to. It's a beautiful mall, but it's up in the hills, and it has a gorgeous view of the whole city.
Wow, that's nice. Can we just go back to healthcare for a second? Because I understand that the healthcare system is great, but if I were just to move to Medellin and I, let's say, had an anxiety attack, how do I go about finding a physician? And is that easy or difficult?
You would do it word of mouth. That's the best way. Now, Paulette needed an ophthalmologist. She wasn't willing to wait for 2 or 3 months for the insurance to approve it and let her do that. Angie found her ophthalmologist, who charged her $75 and spent maybe an hour with her.
Wow.
Nice.
Figuring out what her problem was and diagnosing it and giving her a prescription. I needed a dermatologist. Angie found a dermatologist right across the hall from the ophthalmologist. Both of them were friends of hers. And for $75, she did a complete examination of me, found all the little spots. She said, this one needs to be burned off with this one needs to be done with this. And then she did it. And she didn't say, come back and we'll go to the outpatient clinic and charge you another $300 to do that.
Right.
It was all part of the same.
$75.
Wow.
Nice.
And do most of the doctors speak English?
No, it's
Hit and miss.
Okay.
Down here, English you don't find it very often. You find it with other English speakers. You find occasionally people who have taught themselves English because they know they can make more money if they speak English.
Sure.
But I had an appointment with a psychologist to renew one of my prescriptions, and she spoke perfect English. That was just last week. That's very rare.
Okay. Yeah, I read about that. So you really need to know someone, or you plan ahead. Obviously, you're gonna need to plan ahead.
You know Angie.
Yeah, you have to know Angie. My God, how many people does Angie know? She must be so busy.
She was very busy, and a lot people in Colombia are very entrepreneurial. That's it. When COVID struck and Angie and Jorge got to where they couldn't go places and pick up people at the airport, that was a big part of their business. They simply came to us and said, to our expat group, and said, I will go and pick up all your groceries. You make a list and I will shop. I will, we'll still go to doctor's appointments. If you need anything, I'll do it for you. That way you don't have to go out, because she's younger and we were older and we were at risk, and we were actually told not to go out of our houses.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you couldn't even go out. You could go out for a walk 1 hour a day. She simply made that part of her business.
Wow.
And she charges the equivalent of around $10 an hour.
Wow. That's great.
That's good, yeah.
To do that. And if she's doing it for multiple people, we split. So she might be gone she might have a Costco or a Price Smart run that takes her 4 hours to take care of everybody. And we'll pay her an hour, and the other 3 people each pay her an hour, and we'll be done.
Wow.
Oh, and the other thing in Colombia, in Medellin, is you can have anything delivered from anywhere. You don't ever have to go out of your house.
We've been seeing more and more of these Amazon trucks and vans on every block.
Oh, there's so many.
And now we can even get 1 hour delivery of almost everything. They're all competing against each other. So when you order things, I mean, are you saying that you can order anything from anywhere in the world or back from the States? What are you normally ordering?
Yeah, I think Paulette was talking about locally.
Okay.
And we have these little stores, mom and pop stores all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I have one around the corner from us. They gave me a little refrigerator magnet with their phone number on it.
That was smart.
And Paulette and I want a bottle of wine at 8:30 at night. We call them, and within 5 minutes, they're at our apartment with a bottle of wine.
No.
Nice. That is very
Wow.
Talk about convenience.
You can order from restaurants the same way, from the Costco Price Mart the same way, from the grocery stores the same way, just like in the States. And we also now can get deliveries in Colombia from Amazon. Not everything, but a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And if you spend $35, there's no shipping fee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Amazon opened a big warehouse in Bogota. And before then, we were shopping at Amazon, but we'd have all of the things delivered to our shipping company in Florida. And the shipping company in Florida would ship it to us, and we'd pay a little bit of shipping charges.
Good to know.
What about you? You talked about not being able to go out during COVID. Has the vaccine come to your city?
Yeah. We're reading about it. We're not in the first group. The first group is a little bit older than we are.
And medical.
Or medical needs.
First responders.
But yeah, we've got literally millions of vaccines either already purchased, some are already here and have been dispensed, and others are on the way.
Okay.
They're expecting to vaccinate over half the population in the next 12 months.
Okay.
And that includes the people like us,
so
non-citizen residents.
You talk a little bit about, I guess, pre-COVID, what types of entertainment popular? I know for me, one of the things I would love to see is the botanical garden, but you tell us.
We have in August, we have a beautiful flower festival. The botanical gardens is part of that, and it's all decorated. There's a parade. It's beautiful. The people, they have these huge, they're 10 foot in diameter. They carry them on their backs. They're wooden, and they're all decorated with flowers.
Wow.
And there are hundreds of people that do that. We had plays, we had concerts. We used to love, outdoor concerts, free outdoor concerts,
Wow.
free concerts at the mall from the symphony. A lot of things you could go out to eat. You know, it got to where you could only order out. Now that restaurants, you could only order out. Now the restaurants are open for business, but there, of course, is distancing.
Right.
We had lots of movie theaters that aren't open. We would get American movies here. I mean, every time a new movie came out in the States, we got it here.
Oh, in English?
In English with Spanish subtitles.
Oh, wow.
So we got to hear it in English, and the people that were Spanish could read it.
Okay.
Okay.
They also made them Spanish with English subtitles, and they were dubbed. But we always went to the ones that were in English. Great movie theaters.
I mean, like AMC's and everything that you have in the city, in the States, we have here.
Oh, okay.
And the restaurants, can you find reasonably priced restaurants with good food?
They're much less expensive than the U.S. We can
Start with Tipico.
Okay, well, so there's a food typical to Latin America, and especially this one is typical to Colombia. And they call it Tipico, Tipico. Their executive lunch is 12,000 pesos, which is equivalent of about $3.50.
Oh my goodness!
Oh wow!
And for that, we get a grilled chicken breast, rice, salad, soup, plantain, and an arepa. Arepa is like a hard biscuit. We don't like them, but they're very popular here. So that's really good, and that we've gotten to the point where we really like that food. It's very bland. They don't put spices on.
Oh, really?
So,
In Colombia.
That's for you.
Yeah. It's not like Mexico.
Okay. Okay.
So,
And I heard the fried pork belly is supposed to be popular there. Have you tried that?
Woo-hoo.
yeah, I think they call them chicharrones.
Yes.
And yes, they are very popular. They look like thick pieces of bacon.
Okay.
And then when you buy them, I watched them last week. They take a knife and they go like this all the way down the bed. So each one is a bite size.
Okay.
They're still connected, but you've got them at least broken, and then they fry them or grill them. And
Okay.
In a Tipico meal, sometimes you'll get a choice of meats. You'll get a beef, or it's like a flank steak, or a chicken, or chicharrones. Sometimes you get choices.
All right.
Well, Gene won't be eating any of that. He's not a vegetarian because he does eat chicken, but that's about it.
well, we have great restaurants here.
Well, let's go a hamburger. How much? We have a McDonald's,
Okay.
which we go and kind of smell the food. But how much like Chef Burger? How much is Chef Burger?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. The restaurant
That's a good sign.
prices here are maybe 50 to 60% of what the same thing would cost. We have a taco house here that's just like Chipotle. If you're familiar with Chipotle,
Sure.
Of course.
you can get a burrito, with all
Yeah.
sides and everything. And I think for that costs about 25 mil delivered. And
25 mil is
25 mil is equivalent of about $7 or $8.
Oh, nice.
So basically, in Medellin, I wouldn't have to cook. I could eat out every day or have delivered food every day and not worry about cooking and no, but also aside from Chipotle and restaurants, I would want something obviously a little healthier. It sounds like we could do that on less than $10 per person a day. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of my goals.
I would say maybe
12.
maybe 12, or it depends, because there are lots of choices here.
Okay.
So if you go there's an area in El Poblado called Provenza, and Provenza has the higher priced restaurants.
Okay.
But they are, the best sushi you can find. There are all sorts of salads.
That was my next question. How diverse is the food? And you just nailed it. Sushi. I can't live without sushi, but
I lived without sushi in Boquete for 17 months. When we got here, we were here for 10 days and I had sushi 5 times.
Yep, I'm with you. And it's healthier.
All right. I need to change the subject.
Okay.
Airport. How far is the airport?
Yeah,
And
good
do they fly to the States directly?
Yeah, Medellin has an international airport. Bogota has a much bigger international airport, and there are many more flights from the U.S. and from other parts of the world to Bogota than there are in Medellin. But Medellin has an international airport. It used to be about an hour drive from here, but they cut a tunnel through the mountain, and now it's a 30-minute drive.
Wow.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's so great.
And they're doing that a lot in Colombia. They're cutting tunnels through the mountains.
Mhm.
You know, we've got the Andes Mountains down here.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So they cut tunnels to make the commute, make the drives a lot better.
That's
So how often do you fly to the States? Does your son
Never.
come see you, or do you?
You said your granddaughter comes to see you,
Our
right?
granddaughter comes to see us. Our son works all the time. He doesn't get away.
Mhm.
If he does, he's camping in Colorado. But our granddaughter comes. She came everywhere we lived to visit.
Oh, that's so nice.
The only place she didn't get to come was Cuenca because it was like 2 days and she wasn't quite old enough to stay overnight
Mhm.
at
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
time.
Mm.
But she missed last year because of COVID
Yeah.
and she missed this year. So she'll be back next year, I'm sure.
She came in December of 2019
Okay.
and stayed with us for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Then she didn't come and she didn't come in 2020.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we're hoping that she'll come sometime this year, maybe in the summer, maybe in the fall. We go parasailing when she comes.
Whoa.
Oh, nice.
You guys are adventurous.
They run off the side of a mountain. And
Oh.
Oh, my goodness. Is it scary?
I wish our audience could see you, Paulette. Imitating a flight.
Paulette has her hands in the air
Yeah.
and her eyes wide open.
How old is your grandchild?
well, she's 23 now.
Oh,
Okay,
okay. So
okay.
she's traveling alone a lot.
She was 18, but
Okay.
but
Okay.
Okay.
she's old enough to travel by herself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long is the flight from where she is to you guys?
To get here from Houston, you either take United/Copa that goes to Panama City, and then from Panama City to Medellin, or you go from Houston. There are no direct flights from Houston. You go from Houston to either Miami or Fort Lauderdale, and you can take either Spirit Airlines, Viva Airlines, or American Airlines directly into Medellin.
And how much does the flight typically cost? I guess round trip. Do you
Honestly, they're all over the map, and they're much less expensive now because they're trying to fill up the planes.
Yeah.
True.
And that was our experience when Southwest Airlines started flying to Costa Rica, to San Jose, Costa Rica, they wanted to fill up the plane. And so the flights were very inexpensive. We often, instead of flying from Panama, we would take a bus from Panama to Costa Rica and then fly from Costa Rica directly into Houston.
Okay.
And the bus plus the 2 hotel nights plus the airfare was less than it would cost us to fly United directly into Houston.
That's
Oh, wow.
amazing. So what do you guys miss? I know you've been out of the U.S. for a good solid 5-6 years. You miss anything from back home at all?
I miss getting together with our family,
Mhm.
but we Zoom with them when we can. You know, when they're available, we Zoom with our granddaughter all the time.
Mhm.
But and we Zoom with other friends.
My number one hobby in Houston, and the thing that I thought I was going to spend my retirement doing, was playing duplicate bridge.
Oh, my goodness.
And I had a whole bevy of friends, and we all played bridge. We went to bridge tournaments all over the US.
Wow.
Wow.
Played in local tournaments and in Dallas in statewide tournaments. And it was a lot of fun, very super competitive. I did that for the last 10 years I was in the US. When we moved, it was just kind of like, well, that was that chapter. Here we're going on a new chapter.
Oh, great.
So you haven't tried to form a little group in Medellin?
No, when we were in Cuenca, we played a little bit of bridge, maybe once a week. Most of the people weren't very skilled. They were there just kind of for the fun of it. And
Right. Not
It was
tournament
fun.
level.
It was party bridge.
Okay.
So it doesn't sound like you miss anything or not much.
Besides family, yeah.
We don't miss the weather.
Yeah, I'll bet.
We feel like we have perfect weather here.
It sounds like it.
And I don't know any place in the U.S. where you can guarantee yourself 60 to 85 every day.
That's beautiful.
Wow. I hear the graffiti street art is beautiful. Have you found that?
Yes. In fact, if you went on my Retire Outside USA website, I did several articles, my blog, I did several articles about that and took some pictures. And they're very intricate. Some take whole walls of buildings.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
There is a area called Comuna 13 that has quite a bit of street art. That there are tours where you can go there and see it.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
There's that much.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Can you tell us when you were looking for a place to live and where you currently live, your living quarters? Is it what kind of structure are you in? Are you in a tall building? Are you in a single story living quarters?
We've never wanted to live in a single story here. We always wanted to live in a high rise. When we started, we lived in Poblado, which is the number one place most expats, when they think of going to Medellin, they think of going to El Poblado. We were on the 20th floor of a 3-building complex. We have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and we had a storage unit down in the basement in the parking garage. We had pretty much an unimpeded view of half the city. So there was a school right below us. They weren't going to build any buildings between us and the city. So we really liked that. We moved to Laureles. We were on the 3rd floor of a building that was completely surrounded by other residences. We couldn't see anything. And then last October, we found this place. It's our favorite of all the places we've lived. We have a 15-story building that has 14 residence floors, and there's 1 apartment per floor.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
We have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2.5 bathrooms. Plus, we have our own elevator bay. Plus, we have our own storage unit around the corner on the same floor with us. And we use that as an overflow. We put our freezer in there, plus all of our suitcases and everything else.
It's like having a little garage.
And we're on the 7th floor, and we have a view looking south that's really just breathtaking.
That's amazing.
Wow, you have the whole floor.
And we have electronic access for the elevator. You have to have a card to be able to get to our floor.
Oh, that's great.
That's important for safety. Yeah.
Yeah.
How big would you say your apartment is? Can you give us a sense of? You said 3 bedrooms, so that's a really good size.
Wow.
It is.
We were talking about that. I think it's the same size as our first house was. I think it's about 1,000 square feet, maybe 11.
Okay.
With
That's a
the
good size.
outside.
Yeah.
Good size for an apartment, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a really
And
good size.
you were talking before that you purchased a refrigerator. A refrigerator doesn't come with the apartment?
The only thing that comes with the apartment, that was very strange to us. You get a stove. You purchase your washer and dryer if you want a dryer. You purchase your refrigerator and microwaves, things like that. The only thing you have is a stove and a sink, a kitchen sink.
Right.
And you have to bring your own light bulbs.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
you better not be moving in the dark without those light bulbs. Okay.
We could have rented a furnished apartment. They're just more expensive, and we knew we were going to stay, and we knew we could save a lot of money by buying those things and renting unfurnished.
Yeah, plus you have your own stuff. It's nice.
Yeah, you have your own stuff and you can buy it at your own pace, right? So you can decorate the way you want to. Okay, that's really cool. All right, have we not covered everything you guys think of?
I would just say this. Our goal is to attract retirees to Latin America, specifically to Medellin, Colombia. And so we do a lot of writing, and we do a lot of we're trying to do more videos. Talk about the advantages of living here, especially for those people who don't have the magic $1 million in the bank. and are worried and think that they don't have any choice but to keep on working. We try to show them that it's very easy to live here on just your Social Security, covering everything. And we think that as hopefully COVID fears subside and people start looking at the true cost and whether they can retire or not, we think Medellin is a very, very good alternative, especially since we've lived in 4 other places.
Yeah, really.
It sounds beautiful.
I am very curious to hear what you thought of Costa Rica, though.
Costa Rica, for us, Costa Rica was a little bit of a problem because we had 30 boxes of stuff.
In what way? You couldn't find a large enough apartment, or?
We kept that stuff because we thought we were going to really like Costa Rica and we were going to live there long term. And so we put 30 boxes of stuff. I took 15 of them on a bus across into Costa Rica from Panama, put them in a hotel room, went back to Panama, got the other 15 boxes the next day with Paulette, and we put them all in and transferred it into Costa Rica. We got to Costa Rica and everything was really expensive. For example, they have a TGI Fridays restaurant in San Jose. We went in, we wanted to order a Cobb salad, which is one of our favorite things to eat there. It was $18 US.
Oh my goodness.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
And taxi rides were very expensive. The Airbnb that we stayed in there was $1,200, and it was basically just a studio apartment.
Oh my goodness.
Whoa.
And is that because there's so many tourists there?
San Jose is a really big city. And yes, they have coffee places, they have waterfalls, they have lots of things to see, and a lot of airlines fly there.
It wasn't beautiful enough to equal the cost.
Understood.
You know?
Yeah, we get it.
But you have everything in Medellin.
It sounds like Medellin's great.
That you found in Costa Rica, right? Other than the cost.
Medellin is just as big as I guess it's just as big as San Jose. The public transportation system here is just completely outclasses anything in San Jose. We can get where we want to go. We can live where we want to live. Our 3-bedroom apartment costs us about $750 a month.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that I was curious about that as well. Okay, that's good to know.
We pay another about $150 a month for utilities. We don't have an air conditioner. We don't have a heater. We leave our windows open all the time.
No screens.
We have a breeze through the apartment almost all the time.
Wow.
And you don't have like too many bugs or anything other than those things that fly through your window?
We very rarely see any bugs. Occasionally we'll see a fly. Occasionally we'll see some June bugs, but we don't have screens on our windows. We don't have screens on our balcony. And our balcony opens. Our window is 105 inches. We had to measure it because we had to get window coverings. So our balcony door is 105 inches. It's got 3 doors, and you push them all so you open the whole thing.
That sounds gorgeous. I can envision that. And do you have someone who helps out with issues in the building, like a superintendent of sorts?
Yes. His name is Darlinson, Darlinson.
Okay.
And he's what is called here a portero.
Okay.
He works from 8 to 5 every day. He, when we come home with groceries, he meets us and picks and grabs them and puts them in the elevator for us.
Oh, wow.
Wow, it's like a doorman.
When he's there at the door, if he'll see us coming up, he'll open the door for us. It's locked.
He'll go out and get us a taxi if we need one. And he does all the maintenance.
And when we recycle, we call him. We've got a phone directly to him. We say, Darlinson, recicle. He knows that we're going to put the bag on the elevator, and he's going to push the button to take it down and deal with the bags.
Wow. You guys are really living.
We've got to shoot for trash.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And how are the green efforts? Is recycling a big thing yet, or are you guys ahead of us? I know in Europe, recycling is one of the top priorities. How about Colombia?
They just passed a law You green bag your wet stuff, you white bag your recycle, and you black bag everything else. And that's how it's divided. And
Oh, that's great.
Nice.
And do you have to take anything to any facility, or do you just put everything in those colored bags, right?
We put those in the colored bags. We put the white and the black one on the elevator, and we put the green one down the trash chute because
Okay.
it's got all organic material.
Okay. And when you're purchasing, I guess, fruits and vegetables, do you bring your own bags, or do they?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
so they've banned the use of plastics, anything like that?
No, they charge you like 10 pesos if you want a bag.
Okay.
some stores have plastic. Some stores, if you didn't bring your bag, you buy one. It's a reusable.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, that's good to know, because that's really important to me. Is there any advice you'd like to give to future retirees wishing to move abroad? I'm certainly going to, we're going to link all your information in the show notes, and Steve, your blogs and please send us anything else that, because we've read a lot of your materials, and we thank you for sharing everything that you have so far. And we did meet on Facebook. I follow the content of yours, and it's been very helpful. I certainly want to visit Medellin. That's on our list as well. So any future parting words for future retirees?
I would tell you that we are looking to establish the English speaking church, and the more we publish, the more we get contacted.
Mm-hmm.
And just in the last month or so, we've had 2 different people from Texas move here, which was kind of surprising, because lots of times when I meet new people, I just kiddingly say, "What part of Texas are you from?"
Sure.
And then they say, "No, we're from London," or "No, we're from Ontario," or "We're from Seattle."
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, but these 2 were from Texas, and we're having lunch today for, I think 12 people are on their way to our apartment.
Oh, nice.
We'll be here in about an hour.
Okay. And did they find you through Facebook, or how did you?
Almost everybody that found the church did a search in Google or Facebook for English speaking church Medellin.
Okay.
We're basically the only one.
Good for you. And it's a good thing you're doing it.
Hey, Deb, don't be afraid. Go out there and do your homework, organize an adventure, live someplace long enough to know whether you want to stay there permanently and then move to the next place or plan for the next year. Don't be afraid. Go get them.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yep. That ties in with something I just like to. Most of these countries, you can go for 90 days just on your passport.
Right.
You don't need any kind of residence, any kind of visa, anything. You just go with your passport, you show up, and they'll let you stay for 90 days. Most of them will extend you for another 90 days, but you have to go to the immigration office and actually ask permission.
That's good to know.
You just can't know someplace if you go there for 10 days.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You might know what it's like to visit there, but you don't know what it's like to live there. And so we encourage people to go for a month, 2 months, 3 months. And the craziest thing, people think I'm crazy, is start in Chile, and you can go all the way up through Canada, staying every place for 3 months. And it would take you about 5 or 6 years to do that.
Wow. Oh, that's funny. I've never heard it said like that. That's funny.
That's so interesting. Okay, good. All right.
Thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, we really appreciate the time that you spent with us. And this is a very memorable episode, and hope we'll stay in touch. And thank you again.
We're looking forward to seeing what you edit.
This has been really spectacular.
Well, thank you. We've thoroughly enjoyed it also.
Yeah,
It was
I was
great
really
meeting
looking
you
forward.
guys.
You too.
Nice
You
meeting
too.
you. Yes.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed our show. If you know of someone who relocated for retirement and wishes to share their story, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Our email address is gg@retirethere.com. Our website is retirethere.com, and you may follow us on Twitter @retirethere_. Don't leave out that underscore. And if you liked our show, please subscribe and rate it in Apple Podcasts. We'd really appreciate it. In the meantime, be well.